So just as a heads up, this episode will contain spoilers for seasons 1 to 3 of After the Fyre. So if spoilers aren't your thing, please do click away now. But if they are, stick around and I'll tell you all you need to know about Mara Oakheart. Mara Oakheart is the second oldest of the surviving Greenmont children and the oldest girl of the family. When we first meet her in season 1, she is at Old Oak in the Reach over here to get married to the young Lord Alistair Oakheart. She is at the beginning, she's there, she's getting ready. It's like the day of her wedding, and she's got the dress, she's got the food, she's got everything laid out. Sir Oliver's there, he escorted her to Old Oak, he's watching over, he's chaperoning her, and Red Rob busts in with the sad news that her father, Lord Lucas, is dead. So cue a bit of sad times about that. A little bit of repressed grieving as Mara is like, okay, we'll deal with this emotional bomb later. We gotta do the marriage. We gotta get it done. So Mara pulls herself together and prepares for the wedding. Now, this is a huge wedding, as anyone who's anyone is here. The Prince of Dawn and his wife, Lady Daenerys, Princess Daenerys, is here, but we will get to them later. Prince of Dawn. Before the ceremony, there is a tradition of the Oakhearts in that marriages are typically the septons, the bride and groom, and the bride and groom's immediate family, their parents. Because at House Oakheart, about 100 years, I think, before our game begins, the entire Oakheart family was almost wiped out as a Lord Will of Will, burst into the sept during a wedding and slaughtered everyone there. So there's a bit of a history with Oakhearts and weddings. And with Lord Lucas being dead, Mara has no one to walk her down the aisle and give her away into the sept. So you see where this is going. The only person here is Lord Oliver, who is a Dornishman, and he is walking with Mara. He escorts her to the sept, and as they're about to enter the doors, spears in front of them. And Lady Jane and Lord John Oakheart are like, we ain't having a Dornishman in our sept. You need to find someone else. Can a servant walk you down the aisle? And Mara, quite rightfully, puts her foot down and she's like, this man is basically family to me. He's my sister's godfather. He was my father's best friend, and he will be walking me down the aisle because my dad is dead. And there's a bit of a back and forth, but they do relent and let Oliver escort Mara into the sept, in which she and Alistair have a lovely wedding. They do their vows. They spend their destiny point to get the bonus die to cement their marriage. And it's time for the tourney, because any good wedding in Westeros has a tourney. So at the tourney, Oliver's like, I'm going to compete in the joust. I'm going to do it. So while he's off throwing sticks at boys and getting knocked off horses and other things we will get to in his story, Mara uses this opportunity to go speak to the Princess Daenerys, as the Princess Daenerys is the aunt of Prince Maekar. And Mara thinks, I'm going to use this time to try and get my sister out of Summerhall. So Mara goes up to the Princess Daenerys and she's like, I really wish my sister could be here, but she's kind of kept in prison, kind of in the wardship at Summerhall, and that high-key sucks, and I would like to have my sister here and see her again. And Princess Daenerys is like, I'll see what I can do, but you're gonna owe me. And Mara is like, all right, cool, chill, why? I don't mind doing a princess favors. And Virginia's like, I don't mind doing a princess favors. Insert jiggy jiggy music. But the rest of the tourney happens. Mara is crowned the Queen of Love and Beauty, and she has a wonderful time. And they have a great, sort of beginning of their lives together, Mara and Alistair. Alistair seems to be a good man. He's kind, he's caring, he's compassionate. He seems to be in love with Mara. He's so smitten with her. And he's like, I'm the luckiest man in Westeros. I've got a gorgeous wife, and everything's dandy. Okay, so the next day, Lord Oakheart over breakfast says, hey, I'm going to Highgarden to court. You should come with me because you're going to be the Lord and Lady Oakheart. It's important that you know how it works. Plus, you got to, do some socializing, rub some elbows, how'd you do and all that kind of stuff. The other lords and ladies of Westeros. It's kind of just what you got to do. It's your responsibility. It's your job as nobles. It's like your one fucking job. You just got to go up and just talk to people. So you're coming with me to Highgarden. And Mara's like, cool, yeah, that sounds great. My brother's here, though. My weirdo brother from the Citadel. He's a maester. I think he's still Simon. We'll just call him Simon. He's here. Can he come with us? Because, I haven't seen him in so long. And he's my older brother and blah, blah, blah. And Lord John's like, I guess he can come, I guess. But meanwhile, Lady Oakheart is like, I know what he can do. Alistair is absolutely fucking useless at courtly manners, at politics, at anything. And he can't even speak Valyrian. And we're going to court where basically everybody speaks Valyrian, so he needs to speak Valyrian. So hey, your brother's a maester, right? He can teach him. That's gonna be great. And so Simon is hired as Alistair's personal tutor, which is definitely not going to backfire later on down the road, but we'll get to that in Simon's video. But on the way to Highgarden, they stop for breakfast, because it's quite a trek. This isn't season 8, people don't teleport. There is time travel. Not time travel, but time spent traveling. And over breakfast, the Lord Castaigne, who is traveling from the tourney at Old Oak to Highgarden, stops and has breakfast with Alistair and Mara. And he seems very congenial. I forgot to mention, Castaigne had also introduced himself previously at the wedding. He'd given Mara and Alistair a gift of some beautiful goblets, because he has got goblets on his tunic. And he's like, look, this is me with the goblets. This is me giving you goblets. Castaigne! Remember the name. It's not just the chops. So he's like, so Mara and Alistair, how's the married life? You having a good time? Cool. I'm getting political up in this shit, and I want to know whose side do you want to be on my side? I'm Lord Mathis Castaigne. I've got the best mutton chops in all of Westeros. I'm kind of feeling out some political situations, and I want to know if you're jiving, if you're picking up what I'm putting down. A little bit of dust. And so Mara is kind of watching this, and she's like, Castaigne seems pretty nice, yeah, but he's angling politically. I can see there's a political angle going on, and Alistair seems to be picking up on it and engaging and getting a little eager. He's leaning forward over his sausage and whatever the fuck you have for breakfast in Westeros. So Mara's like, Alistair, I feel a little ill. I feel like we maybe should retire to the fucking carriage or whatever it is we were traveling in. I might be pregnant. She's not, but she uses that as an excuse to get away from this immediate situation with Castaigne and his political wheeling and dealing. Then they arrive at Highgarden, and Highgarden is beautiful. It's like golden roses. It's got the stupid big curtain walls with like the maze in the middle, whatever the shit. There's mummers on every corner. Desmara. Huh. And so they have like a really nice little time. They have a little walk around. It's all pretty and like beautiful and young love, isn't it nice? But soon it is time for court. Lord Leo Longthorn calls the court, and we hear the sort of stuff that's going on in the Reach. Some of it's like not super important courtly stuff, but this is when Mara hears that Miria has escaped from Summerhall, aka been kidnapped. And rumors are flying around about, is Miria a traitor? Is this 13-year-old child a traitor? What? And so Mara stands up and she's like, hey, my sister is not a traitor. Well, she doesn't say that. She doesn't stand up for her sister, but she says, before we address what this is, let me find out, let me see if I can get in touch with her and find out, see what's going on here with my sister, because, it sounds like something she'd do, but no, she doesn't say that, that's told me. But she also says, in the meantime, House Greenmont is in desperate need of help. My father died. We have no lord. And the Lady Marcia, his wife, is pregnant. which definitely, sure, she's having a boy, because we know that in Westeros, sure. But she needs the power to run that house whilst, before her son is born. And, you gave it to Lady Rowan. She just stood up in court. She was like, what, 18? And she's like, please, can I be the lord of my house? And you went, yes. So can Lady Marcia have that? And Leo Longthorn says, oh, yeah, all right, cool, whatever. She can be regent until the baby is born. But if it's not a boy, then we need to reconvene and talk about this. So Mara's like, cool, my work here at Highgarden is done. I need to do nothing else. No, sorry. Susie Salt, hang on. Rein it in. Impartial. So, after Mara has her little talk and Lady Marcia is given regency, Lord Gorman Peak stands up. Old Uncle Gommy stands up. And he's like, I'm not paying my fucking taxes anymore because the Dornish are raiding the borders again, and they're raiding my property again, and Gorman Peak, he of shaved head and bad temper, is going to stand up and form the Southern Rangers, who are not as cool as the Power Rangers, to put down this Dornish threat. And it is my right as a Lord of the Reach to withhold my taxes while I am doing this, so I can pay my men and my host. And other lords start standing up, they're like, yeah, let's go. Like, Tali's one of them. A couple of other ones stand up, and Alistair is like, yeah, let's go fight some Dornish, because I'm super fucking racist. And Mara grabs him and pulls him down. She's like, we're gonna have words. Don't do this right now. And so later on, they have words, and Mara concedes that maybe Alistair can join the Southern Rangers, but they need to go by Greenmont first. So there's a little talky talk, and they decide that Alistair will be joining the Rangers, and they go to Greenmont. And they don't send an advance raven, they just kind of show up, and Lady Marcia is there, and she's like about ready to pop, and she's like, why is there several armies on my lawn, Mara? What's happening? And Mara's like, we're going to Dawn, and we're gonna fight the Dornish. And we're going to get Miria back, because I heard she's in the mountains somewhere. So we'll find her. We'll bring her back. That's going to be all right. Don't worry about that. That problem will be solved. And yeah, it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. We're gonna get Alistair into a command position. He's going to lead some forces, which is good for me, because as the future Lady Oakheart, we need that social standing. And Marcia's like, okay, yeah, you're starting to think like a lady of a house. I can vibe with that. Bring Miria back. Make sure that there's no war, and we'll set you up for your future. Also, be right back 2 seconds. My grandmother has just asked me if I want to do some blood magic to make sure the baby is a boy, but I'm not too sure about it. What do you think? Mara's like, do it if you believe in it. Let's go to town on that blood magic. Cut to the nighttime. They're in front of the weirwood tree. They go to town on some blood magic, and 2 babies are born, and they're both boys. I'm getting such strange looks explaining this plot from my husband, who sat right here. So, blood magic, babies. Mara there for it. She's like, oh, gross, babies. It's kind of cute though, but also gross. And then they go off into Dawn for the Battle of Vulture's Roost. But in the meantime, before then, Maekar shows up at Greenmont, and he's like, that host is illegal. Get him back, or they're all in trouble. Marcia gets someone to write a very hurried letter being like, Mara, get back, because Maekar's gonna kill you all for being illegal and doing a big bad war without asking permission from the crown first, and sends it off with a messenger being like, get Mara back home. At Vulture's Roost, Mara is stood on a hill. She's watching the conflict. There's dead guys everywhere. Screams fill the air. The acrid smell of blood lingers on the back of her throat and her clothing and her hair, and it's horrible. And she's watching this conflict and the big smashing that happened and all the dead stuff and the screaming and the dying. And she gets this letter that's like, get home or you're gonna get wrecked by Maekar, and nobody wants to get wrecked by Maekar. He showed what he can do in the Hammer and Anvil. Don't let him anvil you again. So Mara comes down onto the battlefield. She sees all the dead guys and starts like, the eyes go wide. She's like, oh no, the war is actually bad, huh? And then she goes into the tower and Alistair's lip is all bust and he's all salty because he got punched in the lips by Oliver because he deserved it. And she's like, we gotta go. We can't be here anymore. This is an illegal host. The crown's gonna come get us. You did good, honey. I'm proud of you. Well done. Good job. You still haven't given me a baby yet, so you're not doing it that great of a job. But we gotta dip because otherwise we're in trouble. And they make it back to Greenmont. And this is where things start taking a turn for the worse for just about everybody involved. So back at Greenmont, there is a hunt to, as everybody comes back, there's Costain, there's Tarly, there's young Tarly, old Tarly, Alistair. Gormy doesn't make it back because he's in two pieces at the top of Vulture's Roost, but we'll get to that with Oliver's video. And Oliver has stowed away. And his stowing away to come back with the forces lasts about 2 minutes because men cannot keep secrets within Game of Thrones. And he is revealed to have come back, and the air is filled with tension because Alistair has still not forgiven Oliver for the lip punch and for the terse words that had been exchanged on the battlefield and prior to the battlefield. So there is a hunt to celebrate the successful campaign. Unfortunately, they didn't bring Miria back because she wasn't there, but Oliver has kind of quelled those fears because he has told Lady Marcia where Miria is and that she's safe. So that particular problem is shelved for a later date, which Miria's not having a great time back where she's safe, but they don't know that. So they're having this hunt, and Mara and Marcia are having a really cool gal time together. They're off hunting rabbits with birds, and they're just having a really nice, just nice normal ass time where they can be happy for 10 seconds. And they talk about how Mara helped convince Lucas to marry Marcia, and how Marcia helped set up the match between Mara and Alistair, and that that Marcia is looking forward to seeing the lady that Mara becomes, their babies, their whole sort of you're gonna be so happy and you're doing so well already and I'm so proud of you and blah blah blah, that sort of conversation. Meanwhile, Alistair is off being a dickhead, talking to Costain and getting whispered in the ear that perhaps if only one Lord Oliver Ironwood was arrested or disappeared, then things would be better for just about everybody, because Oliver, according to Costain, is a problem and a troublemaker, and he needs to be arrested for what he did at Vulture's Roost, which he cleaved Pekin too. And Alistair is like, I agree. This is let's sort him out. And later on at the dinner, it's a really awkward dinner because it's a dinner in Game of Thrones. And Mara is she can see something's wrong with Alistair. He's kind of cagey. He's sweating. He's distracted. He's drinking more than usual. And Mara and Alistair at one point gets up and storms out. This was just after the reveal that Marcia and Oliver were to be engaged. And Alistair stands up, he's like, fuck this, leaves, goes, pukes up a bit, and Mara goes to follow, and Marcia's like, stay here. I got this, you stay here. So Mara does stay put for the time being, but after a little bit she gets up to follow and she doesn't find him just yet. The next time Mara sees Alistair is when she opens a door and a dead Greenmont guard drops to the floor, and Alistair is stood there with his sword unsheathed, flanked by 20 knights and young Samuel Tarly. Oh no, wait, I forgot about the most important thing that happened during this whole thing. There was at Greenmont, I think before they went to war, Samuel, Mara, and Alistair had a threesome. And that's when, I'm pretty sure that's when Mara got pregnant. So at this point Mara is pregnant, but she doesn't know yet. But yeah, so there was a threesome, and it was all we wanted for fun, for fan service. But we'll come to regret that now. So she sees these and she's like, Samuel, Alistair, what is happening? And Alistair's like, get the fuck out of the way. I got shit to do. Don't get in my way, Mara. And he like pushes her aside and storms through and shuts the door behind him. And Mara kind of just like drops to the floor and starts crying as she can hear screams and fighting happening in the hall behind the closed doors. And then it all goes like eerily quiet. And then the doors fly open again, and Alistair and Samuel and their men are being chased out of Fox Hollow by the Greenmont guards and what's left of them. And Mara she goes with Alistair. She doesn't think twice, she just goes with Alistair. Clings to his horse as they are chased out of Fox Hollow. 3 days later on the road, Mara finally gets an answer from Alistair about what happened, where Alistair acknowledges and accepts that he killed Oliver Ironwood in the hall, and that he's not sorry about it because Oliver was a dangerous man, and he had only gone in there with the intent to arrest him, but Oliver had fought back, and he regretted only that Oliver could not have stood trial for what he had done to Gorman Peak. So Mara is understandably somewhat upset by this and pissed at Alistair that he had done this, especially since Alistair had used Miria's name to do it. He said this was the only way to save Miria. Arresting Oliver was the only way to save Miria and her reputation, which is bollocks. But, so Mara is like, what the fuck, dude? Like, the fuck? You've just killed... And then she's mad at him for a bit, and then she's also like, by the way, dickhead, I'm pregnant and it's yours, so what are we gonna do about this? So we gotta get back to Highgarden, we've gotta get our story out ahead of what happened here, and we gotta just try and move on with our lives. So they get to Highgarden, they talk to Mara Oakheart, and Mara's like, preggers, also we broke guest right, and we kind of murdered a bunch of people, but baby. And she kind of carries on this way for a little bit around Highgarden. They try and, like, you know, spin the story a little bit in their favor before anything happens. And they're kind of just carrying on as if nothing had happened. They're just trying to reintegrate back into court as if, you know, they hadn't been chased out of a house for doing murders. And Mara, at one point, she heads to the Maester's Tower, I think, to inquire about her brother Simon, as the last time she had seen Simon, it was at Highgarden, and he just disappeared. And she's like, is my brother alive? Dead? What's going on? And the Maester at Highgarden's really cagey about it. He's like, oh, Simon is no longer here. And she's like, no longer here as in Highgarden, or no longer here as in this mortal coil, which we call life. And he's like, he's just not here. I just don't know what to tell you. And she's like, well, I need answers. Where's my fucking brother? So she's snooping around the Maester's Tower and she finds this letter. And it's a letter written by Sir Babelbrook to Prince Baelor. No. I think it could be to Baelor, to Prince Baelor, or to Hightower. He wrote to Baelor, he wrote to Hightower, he wrote to Leo. So she finds a letter from Babelbrook, written on behalf of Lady Marcia, which is like, the letter is like, these motherfuckers came into my house, they murdered my fiance, they broke fucking guest right, it was Alistair Oakheart and Sir Samuel Tarly, those two motherfuckers, those kids, they're bad uns, they need sorting out, like, we need some justice, I am not going to let this stand, they murdered my fiance, and my stepdaughter's father, I mean God's father. So, Mara is like, consequences are about to hit us. I can feel them coming like a freight train. And she comes back out just at the time as Prince Baelor is being announced. His heralds are doing the nonsense, you know, the flags are here, the impressive cortege or whatever, carriage, flags, standard bearers, pageantry, faff, Targaryen fluff as the one, the only Prince Baelor is here to dish out some justice. And he sort of sets himself up in Leo Longthorn's sort of quarters, and he's like, right, let's get to the bottom of this whole thing about what did happen at Fox Hollow. And Mara is like, I have such a great idea. is absolutely foolproof. I'm going to take this sword, which was my father's sword, which was given to Alistair on the day of my wedding, because if you remember, the Greenmont wedding ritual is the bride gives the sword to the groom if she marries out of the family, so she gave the sword to Alistair to be like, you're my protector. This was my dad's sword. It was literally next to his gross, stinky body when he died. Yeah, and Alistair was like, thanks for this sword, I'm going to use it to kill your sister's god's father, and very soon, which he did. He used to stab Oliver, which is just a whole gut punch in itself. But anyway, so she takes this sword, and she takes a blade to the prince, Targaryen prince, waves it around, being like, I'm going to give you this sword as a pledge of my honor and fealty and belief in truth and justice and love and the power of the moon punishing you. And she's somehow allowed to see the prince with the sword, and Baelor takes the sword and he's like, cool, throws it over his shoulder because he's got 300 of them, and he's like, okay, Mara, what happened? And she tells him her side of the story, and she's like, I just want nothing but a fair trial for my husband. I want you to be lenient, because did you know I am half Dornish and also pregnant? Which, if you've been following along with the After the Fyre drinking game, that is about 6 drinks, so drink up. And Baelor's like, of course I'm gonna be fair and lenient, that's my whole shit. I am the one that's known for being the good guy. Like, I'm kind of semi-low-key insulted that you would think otherwise. But he did break guest rights, so there does have to be some consequences. And Mara's like, as long as it's going to be a fair and honest trial and that I'll get to see him and he'll get to see his baby, then that's going to be fine with me. And he's like, cool, right, get out, just go, we've got a trial to run. And Mara leaves, and shortly after she speaks to Costain, and Costain is like, yo, you want him to get a fair, honest trial, you need to stack this jury. They're gonna get people from the court, they're gonna have judges. You need to stack that deck. You need to get someone on that jury that is going to be favorable to you. I can tell you who that's gonna be if you want, but you gotta do it. You gotta get in there. You gotta get ahead of the pack. And so Mara goes, I know exactly who to get. Lady Faye Rowan. And she does, and Faye and Lady Rowan in fairness is like, yeah, I mean, yeah, honestly, I'm going to be fair and impartial, because that's also my shit. That's what I'm known for, being good, fair, impartial, and justice and honor and all that shit. Like, okay. And so she's on the thing, and the trial begins. Samuel takes the stand, and his mouth fills with blood and his tongue swells up because Marcia did do a blood curse on him, and he can no longer give testimony. I thought he was going to die. I was disappointed when he didn't, but hey, what can you do? Alistair gives his testimony, and he's like, no, I didn't tell Mara what I was going to do because I can't trust her, because she would have told them, they would have escaped, and Oliver wouldn't have been brought to justice. I didn't mean to kill him. I was going to arrest him, but I couldn't tell Mara because she'd have just sold me out. So, no, I don't trust my wife, Your Honor. Sucks. And Mara's kind of like, oh, my feelings, that hurts. I would have sold him out, yes, that's true, but also, my feelings. He doesn't trust me? Why? But she's also kind of pissy at him, but also because she's got the baby. There's a complicated emotions going on here for Mara. Costain uses this opportunity to grandstand and to basically to take the stand, but speak to the lords instead, and being like, the Dornish, Alistair did nothing wrong. He put down an uppity Dorn who was kicking off and was causing problems. We should do more of that. Basically, the only thing he did wrong was breaking guest right, is what Costain is. And he uses this moment to like gather support of the Lords of the Reach to be like, Leoth's not doing fuck all about the Dornishmen. The Dornish are raiding us again. The Reach is a fucking mess and he's not doing anything, but I'm gonna, well, not me, but somebody should do something. Someone should do something. We should maybe form a Lord's majority and go to war with Dorne, he says, but not actually, but through political subterfuge. Anyway, Baelor is last one to speak, and he's like, okay, so kind of semi-justified in what you did. He did fight back. You did go in there only to arrest him, but you also did break guest right. And that's like one of the few things that we hold quite sacred in Westeros. Like, guest right is very important. This is why the Red Wedding is such a huge thing in 100 years' time. But that we can't forgive you for doing that. So what I'm gonna do is, rather than kill you, rather than send you to the wall, which you should have gone to the fucking wall, rather than do that, you are going to be incarcerated in the Black Cells in King's Landing for 10 years, or until your Lord Father dies and you assume control of the house. So Mara is like, no! Consequences have gotten my man! My child will be 10 before he meets his father. And Alistair's like really sad because he's going to jail for 10 years. And the Black Cells are not like normal jail. They're like horrible jail. This is like the last place you want to go. I think I would have probably preferred the wall than 10 years in the Black Cells. But Alistair's carted off. Mara gets to say goodbye one last time, and they have a little heartfelt like goodbye, but Mara's also like, you motherfucker, you couldn't trust me? What the fuck is this? But yeah, anyway, Alistair's carted off, and immediately after the trial, Mara goes to Samwell, who was still covered in blood. Like, no, it's not, it's immediately after. But, you know, she comes up to Samwell afterwards being like, yo, is your tongue okay? And he's like, I think it's fine now. That was just really weird allergic reaction, I guess. And she's like, so, Alistair has kind of just got taken to jail, right? I don't know how long Lord and Lady Oakheart are willing to put up with my shit. So, if it all goes tits up, will you look after me? Because we did have that one incredible night together where Alistair was kind of there, but we forgot about him. And, you know, you are my husband's best friend. So he would be very happy to know that you're looking after me and our baby. And Samwell was like, all right, yeah, cool, yeah, I'll look after you. If we need to, I will look after you. Fool, he should have gotten away then. Anyway, so the last thing we see of Mara at the end of season 3 is she is asleep, and she is having a dream where she has a large belly, pregnant belly, and Marcia comes up to her, and she's holding a knife. And this is going to get pretty graphic. This is a content warning here for a miscarriage. But Marcia in this dream stabs Mara in the belly like tons of times. She's just going to town on her because Marcia had also done a blood curse on the Oakhearts for what they did at Fox Hollow. And Mara awakes to having a miscarriage, and she leaves her room and heads to the Godswood. She's delirious. She's still semi in a dream state, and she collapses at the roots of the weirwood tree, and she's clutching a branch in her hand as she knows somewhere in the back of her mind that this was the work of the old gods. And that's basically where we see Mara at the end of season 3. And then we have our 5-year time skip that brings us up to season 4. And we know a couple of things about Mara in that time skip that get revealed at the beginning of season 4, so I'm not going to tell you right now, but we know that Mara did go back to Oakheart and spent some time there. And I don't want to say anything else because it's all going to come up in season 4, so you should catch that. But in the meantime, I think that's a really good place to round off Mara's story. So hers is kind of a very political based story. And I feel like I skimmed over a lot of the intrigues, but you can only summarize an intrigue in like, this person spoke to this person and they agreed on this, you know? So Mara's story is quite an intriguey political one. So if that kind of intrigues you, I would definitely recommend watching Mara episodes. But coming into season 4, Mara is I would say she's a very different person, but we see a different side to Mara. And it's very interesting to see what it's like when she returns back to Fox Hollow after all those years. So tune in for that. But in the meantime, you can watch After the Fyre every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, which is 8 p.m. British time, on twitch.tv/follow blackcats. And if you want to grab this extremely good, soft, comfy shirt, we have merch at TeePublic. There will be a link in the video description below, so please do check it out and grab yourself one of these really cool shirts. Mine, I love it. It's a good shirt. Catch you then, friends. Juicy fruits.